it's Kris.
And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Review This.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
It stinks.
Alright, so today we're finally talking about the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window. And I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely loved it too. It's a little less of a parody than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like, Airplane and stuff and just like all-out spoof. But it's more of a satire of the genre.
As someone who is very big into this particular niche in the thriller genre, I definitely saw the parody. A couple of the movies, books, and stuff that I saw influence in. Definitely The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, especially with that repair guy.
Yeah, I noticed that one, yeah.
Gaslight, of course, one of the originals in this genre. Gaslight. Fatal Attraction, definitely. Especially with the surprise cameo at the end was fantastic.
Yeah.
Gone Girl, Girl on the Train, and of course, Woman in the House across the street. So, and Woman in the Window.
Woman in the Window. Yeah, and the House on the end of the street.
House on the end of the street. Yeah, I saw all of those in here, and it was fantastic. Loved it.
But even though, so I want you guys to know that even though I wasn't as familiar with some of the source material, I still loved the series, and and the stuff that maybe I didn't get what they were making fun of, I still found it funny.
Right.
Like, the wine thing is hilarious.
The casserole dishes.
Yeah, the casserole dishes. I don't know what that's making fun of directly, but my God, that's funny.
She has so many of them.
Right, and sometimes towards the end, she's just carrying them around, and I feel like that is definitely probably making fun of either a trope or just in, general, because they're always neighborly giving casserole dishes and stuff.
Basically.
But really good, though. It still made me laugh, I guess, is the point I wanted to make.
It's a really good show. So whether or not you're a fan of the genre, you'll be able to get it.
Exactly.
So let's start with our cast. First, we have our main character, who's Anna, and she's played by Kristen Bell. Veronica Mars herself.
Perfect casting.
She's the cutest little alcoholic.
But she's funny too, I think that's why she's so perfect casting. Because she's good in these parts. She's good in drama too, but she's good in comedic parts.
Oh yeah, right. So Anna, it turns out, is divorced or separated from her husband, even though she still stalks him on Instagram. And they broke up. Their marriage broke up because she insisted that he take your daughter to work day. Thing is he was a therapist for the government or something, and so he went to interview that day. He happened to go interview a cannibal serial killer.
Yeah, I think
And why would you leave your daughter alone, locked in a room with a cannibal serial killer? That's on him.
But that's why when we first saw this, I know you in particular were very adamant about that didn't happen. That's fake. That's not real. That's a fantasy.
Well, she'd been having some things,
Yeah,
but that was part of the gaslighting too. So,
So yeah, but it turns out it's true. This is how they really lost their daughter.
Right. And I don't think she should blame herself for that one, for insisting he take his daughter to work. I think he's at fault for being a therapist who doesn't know to not bring his daughter into a locked room with a cannibal serial killer and leave her alone there. That's on him. Sorry.
Right. You've been better off putting her in a jail with a couple of toys. Here, lock her up.
No one could watch her for 5 minutes.
Right. It's just,
ridiculous.
My God, hilarious. But
then,
they play it so straight, though.
They do.
And that's the thing.
It's so, that's what's so funny is how seriously they talk about this incident.
And that's what you got to remember about this show. That's what makes it a satire, is that they play it completely straight. And then, so you have to realize that it's funny.
Yeah. So next we have Neil, and he's played by Tom Riley, and he's the hot widowed dad who moves in across the street with his daughter, who's about the same age as the daughter that Anna lost.
And if I didn't know better, I'd be like, that's the guy from You.
It is. They totally, what is it? Joe. Oh. I think he was in Gossip Girl or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is.
His name on the show is Joe.
Okay.
This guy, Tom Riley, looks like he could be either his older brother or hot dad or something.
Something. I really feel like this guy got cast on purpose.
Because he looks like Joe.
To.
I mean, it's crazy.
And I've never even seen you. I've not seen one single episode, and I caught it. I'm like, that's
it.
Guy.
Well, you see the show everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so he's got like a little mysterious air about him, and you find out all kinds of stuff about him. It turns out like, nope, he's not the one, but you think it might be for a lot of it. And
yeah.
Because, yeah, it's a lot of there's a rear window, too, in this.
Yes.
A lot of rear window in
Yes.
this. And so Anna winds up seeing, what's her name? Lisa, or also known as Chastity, played by Shelley Hennig. So Anna sees Lisa, who is Neil's girlfriend, get killed from her house across the street through the window. And she's convinced that she saw this murder happen, but everyone's telling her no, it didn't. And so for a while they were like, shit, did he kill her? Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll get to the big twist at the end, which is fantastic. I love
the twist. The twist made the show.
He's a big old red herring.
Mm-hmm. Which we expected, and that's why we're like, it can't really be him, you know? So, and the show does a good job on pointing out all kinds of people.
Yeah, because for a while you think it's her best friend, who we'll talk about in a little bit too. But yeah, there's a lot of suspects. Yeah, it leads you all kinds of, which is what's so fun about this genre and these types of thrillers, is they just all over the place. But again, Shelley Hennig played Lisa / Chastity, who is Neil's new girlfriend. She's a flight attendant, so she claims. She hates smelly markers. Like, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, that was one of the scenes. So she gives her daughter, because she kind of makes friends with her daughter, Anna. Because of the guy and stuff. And so then she gives her these markers because she likes to color and stuff. And then she sees the mother throw them out.
Lisa, the girlfriend.
Yeah, and then I like the scene where she goes and confronts her.
Right.
And then she has this fantasy where she gets hit by a bus and everything.
No, she hits her with her car.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, she drives right up into her. Because remember, you were like, oh, run her over. Yeah. That bitch is throwing out your markers. Run her over. And then she did, and we were like, oh.
That's what it was, yeah. And it was great. And then, it was a fantasy.
That was a fantasy.
Right. But it was still good.
Which is why I thought that she wasn't and she does lie. We catch her lying to her therapist while, and so that's why I thought she had made up the story of how her daughter died, because I figured, well, she just made up that a cannibal ate her daughter because she couldn't deal with whatever the real thing was. But no, it turns out the cannibal really ate her daughter.
We just couldn't think that could possibly be real. But.
Right, but whatever.
This is what they went
good
with.
Job, TV show.
This is what they went with.
Good job. And so we have Emma, who's played by Samsara Yet, and she is the coolest child ever. She's Neil's daughter. I love this child.
So many good child actors are popping up in these shows lately. Like, whatever happened to the movie was good, but that kid actor was...
No, those days are gone. They're doing good.
I don't know what's happening, man. These new...
Yeah, whatever little acting school they're sending these kids to, keep doing it, because these kids are amazing. So then we've got Rex, who's a stripper working with Lisa to defraud men. And he's played by Benjamin Levy Aguilar. He's an interesting character. And another red herring. And he actually gets arrested once they find the body of Lisa. It can no longer gaslight Anna into thinking this murder didn't happen. Rex winds up getting arrested for it or whatever, and then Anna becomes a suspect, and it's a whole thing.
And they do a good job with that as well, because even though you realize it can't really be him, because I think there's still like an episode left or whatever, but like she had slept with him and stuff, so it had really turned into this big ordeal.
I got mad. I was like, Veronica, you're cheating on Logan.
Logan's dead.
Shut up! That didn't happen. The last 10 minutes of the new season did not happen. It's fine. Veronica Mars is awesome. Up until the very last 10 minutes of the final season. Alright, so then we've got Sloane, played by Mary Holland, and she's Anna's awesome best friend who runs an art gallery, because Anna is an artist. And she's awesome. I like her. But at some point, because she just keeps, like, popping up, like, at one point she pops up outside her window and stuff, I'm like, that's a little suspicious there, Sloane.
Right.
So she's another little red herring that they try and it worked for a minute, because I was like, that's a little suspicious. Why is she just always there? Oh, well, she's a good friend. Okay, well, that explains that then.
Right.
So then we've got Douglas, who is Anna's ex-husband, as well as her therapist, which I think is a conflict of interest. He's played by Michael Ealy. But yeah, that's definitely a conflict of interest to be the therapist for your ex-wife, but also he's the world's worst father. Because he left his daughter alone with a killer cannibal, like.
Yeah, he's not really much in it, and he kind of comes and goes, and
yeah.
when they need him, he's there.
Yeah,
that's about it.
But he did fine.
He did fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he's the world's greatest dad.
No, world's worst dad ever.
I would definitely take that gift back if I'd given him a shirt
no
or a
mug
mug
for him.
Yeah,
no mug for him.
You don't need this anymore.
All right, then we have Buell, who's played by Cameron Britton, and he's the handyman who fixes nothing.
This guy, he starts out, he's fixing their mailbox, and you're just like, oh, he's a handyman, whatever. But then they keep cutting back to him still
fixing the same mailbox. And how they figure out, because it turns out that he has been secretly living in her attic since her husband moved out, and she'd been mentioning to her therapist, because we don't find out that her husband's her therapist right away. Mm-hmm. They just talk to her therapist on the phone.
Right.
So, yeah, he's like, Buell's still there? And she's like, he hasn't fixed the mailbox in like 8 years, whatever.
Right,
and
finally.
Because, yeah, she's been saying, I'm hearing noises up there to her therapist, and her therapist was like, it's a big house, it makes... Mm-hmm. Bitch, she heard shit, believe her, God.
Yeah.
That's where gaslight comes in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and Buell also killed his parents with a hammer, so...
Right, because he becomes a suspect, and a strong suspect, which I would have been mad if he ended up being the killer, because he was funny just being this dolt.
Yeah, I liked him.
Who couldn't fix this goddamn mailbox. And I don't know, maybe I'm being insensitive, maybe he's supposed to be special needs or something.
I think so, because, again, he's the one that makes me feel the most, hand that rocks the cradle.
Yeah, because he was special or slow or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that's what they're definitely going for, but, it's just... I don't know, I just felt it was cheap if it would have been him.
And I'm glad it wasn't.
I'm
really glad they went the way they went.
Oh, it's the best ending ever.
All right, so then we've got Detective Lane, played by Christina Anthony, and she's a cop who seems kind of rude, just invites herself into people's houses and is like, I could use some coffee. Like, bitch, I wasn't making coffee.
But that's a trope in those movies, too, isn't it? Don't the cops just walk in their houses
get coffee,
Yeah,
but usually people offer it. They don't just walk in and be like, I sure could use some coffee.
Right. And then,
like, bitch, you should have stopped at Starbucks before you came to my house.
And then didn't the deputy ask for something to eat or something?
Yes, okay, so then the deputy is like, oh, that casserole sure looks good. I could eat some of that. I'm like, bitch. Right. So now not only are you making her make coffee, you're making her dirty up some more of her dishes to give you food, and you're not going to help her clean those dishes. So you just made more work for her, assholes.
Then he gets called away.
As someone who does not like doing dishes, like, I was mad on her behalf in that scene.
Fair.
But yeah, it turns out this cop is the one who, like, she feels bad for Anna because she interviewed the cannibal killer back in the day when they first caught him, and there's a moment in the interrogation where she just wanted to, like, take her gun out and shoot him, but she didn't because, rules, laws, that sort of thing.
Right, murder.
Due process for, people accused of crimes. So she thinks that she's, if she'd shot him, then he wouldn't have killed her daughter. And I'm like, well, if her father hadn't left her, again, all these women blaming themselves when her father left her alone in a locked room with a cannibal killer. Like, it's not the detective's fault for not shooting a guy, and it's not Anna's fault for being like, take your daughter to work.
Right.
Like,
it's his fault. It's all 100% his fault.
So the last person we need to talk about is Carol, played by Brenda Koo, who's a bitch-ass neighbor who needs to divorce her husband, Scott. Like, I don't know. Scott seems like a real asshole. But she needs to divorce Scott and get a life of her own. We never see Scott, but she's always like, I have to do this because Scott has this important thing, and Scott has this, and Scott, like, bitch, get your own life. Don't worry about Scott. Like, what are you, his mother or his wife?
Yeah,
Jesus.
There was at one point where she was just so nosy and
I wanted her to
intrusive,
die.
and I was like,
kill
is
a
she
bitch.
in on it somehow? Like, is she trying to gaslight this woman? Like, what is going on?
So mean. Like,
Yeah.
basically, she's like, it's been 2 years, Anna. Shouldn't you be over your dead child? Like,
Right.
How come you didn't show up for the blind date? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I'm in mourning still because I lost my child and I'm taking drugs and drinking a whole bottle of wine in one glass. Which I told him because she pours a whole bottle into this one big glass, and I'm like, still counts as one glass.
Right.
If it fits in the glass, it's one glass. It's fine.
Just the image, though, of her doing it, and then she leans down and sips off the top of it,
Right.
and everything is just is hysterical yet relatable.
Right. Which leads us into our next segment, which I want to talk about a lot of the tropes that were mocked from this genre. And the first is over drinking of wine with or without the pills added. She had pills as well from her therapist that he specifically said don't take with alcohol. She did. So the reason that this trope exists in this is to give that kind of doubt. To be like, did they really see what they saw, you know, and to give other characters reasons to doubt what they saw.
For sure, absolutely.
And it makes your character now an
Sympathetic?
No, unreliable narrator. So you can't trust what your character is seeing.
Which we did. We were wondering about whether the child really, and all that stuff.
Exactly. And that, again, so they use that trope well.
Yes.
Another one is that the main protagonist is usually female, and usually she's an artist, a writer, museum curator, or art gallery owner who's gone through some sort of loss. And they hit all of that here. She's an artist, she lost her daughter, she lost her marriage,
Well, with the exception of Rear Window, I'm sure there has to have been, but most of them are women.
Most of them are women. That's why that's the trope. But and Rear Window, they did stick Grace Kelly in there, so. She's the one who had to go across the street and do all the hard work because
he was in a chair.
He's stuck in his chair, so she had to do all the hard work. I love that movie.
I love that Simpsons episode that makes fun of that movie.
Well,
I love that movie too.
I think everything's made fun of that.
Of course.
Rear Window. Rear Window, I think, is one of the most mocked. Yeah.
It's right, because it's easy and simple to do. There's been tons of movies and sitcoms that want to make fun of that over the years. But it is great. It is a good trope.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great
trope. So then the next trope, which they hit on, again, right on the nose, is that there is a widower or single neighbor who may or may not be the killer. It's not always the killer.
No.
But I think the lazier ones make it the killer. But, this one is not lazy, so he was not the killer. Then you've got red herrings all over the place, which we've already talked about with our characters. Yes, they did. They definitely had. And they convinced us a couple times. We were like, it's gotta be that
Oh, yeah. That's how you do it.
Then you've got the mega gaslighting of your protagonist by cops, friends, and family. Which, definitely. A lot of people were telling her that she was not seeing what she thought she saw. Then you've got the convoluted criminal plots, which we had with Lisa and Rex, and their whole thing about needing to scam people, and so you had that in there. Then you had the prying neighbors who don't know how to mind their own business. You definitely had that with what was her name, Carol? Fuck that bitch. And then secret identities and lost memories or blackouts is another big trope here. And again, she has the blackouts. She'll drink and pass out and wake up and be like,
Yeah.
So at one point, she even thought she was gaslit into thinking that because she had these blackouts, maybe I am the killer. So.
Yeah, which is something more of a character thing, because I never really felt that they were going to go that route.
No.
I don't think that was... that I thought they were. It's a good red herring. It's a good thing to make you think because the evidence is definitely there, But they do set it up well. But.
And there've been a couple times where that has turned out to be the case, where the person we thought we were following turns out, oh no, they're the killer. Which those are great twists when you get to read those.
If it's handled right, absolutely.
So next part, we're just gonna have basic little comments about the show that we had. And we already touched on this, but I love that they hired someone who looked like Joe. Because it instantly put you in that, oh shit, is he the bad guy? Because in Joe is not a good guy. Like, don't romanticize him. He's a stalker who kills people. Like, he's not a good guy. So I do love that. I want to believe that they made a conscious effort.
Yeah, I do too.
Or that guy just walked in and they were like, "Yup."
Yeah, like, that's. I mean, my thought is that's probably what happened. Was he came and showed up for the audition, and he did a good job as well. But it's like we got to hire this guy because, I mean, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on it, but who knows? Maybe they searched for a guy that looked like him too.
I don't know, but I really want it to be like, we need a Joe.
Right.
Get me Joe.
Because I think the interesting thing about him looking like Joe and everything is because You is also on Netflix, also a popular show. This series came out at the right time because The Woman in the Window was just out on Netflix earlier this year.
Right.
And then you had The You, which is continuously popular on there. Plus, there's all these other Lifetime movies and everything, and these that are on
Some
there.
Lifetime movies are fantastic, you guys. They're so bad, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. One of my favorites was a long time ago. I think Tori Spelling started. It was like Mother, May I Sleep with Danger. And I was like, just the title alone, I was like, yeah, I'm watching this. And it was horrible, and I loved it.
That sounds
horrible. My God, it's amazing. Amazingly bad. Like, let's be real. It's not a good movie, but I had fun watching it.
Although Tori Spelling was awesome in Stab.
Well, I would love if they made a real Stab movie. Because of the fact that they use a voiceover with Anna, it really gave me strong Veronica Mars vibes. Yeah. Except the whole time, and I think I even said it out loud a couple times, I was like, Veronica would do this investigation way better. Because, Anna does go and try and, investigate things herself, but she's not very good at it.
No, because she's clearly not
because she's drunk. She's a drunk.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that might be another reason why I do love this so much, because I love Veronica Mars. So, and we talked about this earlier, but it did bother me that those cops came into her house demanding shit, like the dishes. This isn't a restaurant.
I found it funny because I think I saw the humor in it, because they're always showing the cops and they make them get no coffee and stuff, and most people would be like, get the fuck out of my house, right. Like, not invite them in and, like, let's have coffee and a meal and blah, blah, blah. I think most people would not do that. I doubt that happens very often in real life.
Bitch, go to McDonald's. This isn't a restaurant, and I'm not washing extra dishes for you.
Right.
Like, get out of my house. Plus, you're here accusing me of shit. Like, get out. Spoiling the very, very end, I do want to talk about the special guest star that they had. Glenn Close made a cameo appearance, because at the very end, Anna is getting on a plane to go visit Sloan in New York, where she's gotten a job as an art gallery at some big art gallery or whatever. And Glenn Close sits down in the plane next to her. And they make a point of knowing what seat it is, because Anna has sat down in a seat and Glenn Close comes up and she looks so weird. We were like, is that really Glenn Close?
Right.
But it is.
Yeah. But yeah,
she's like, you're in my seat. And so Anna has to get over so that we know what seat it was. So then Anna, passes out, and she gets up and the seat's empty, and she goes to the bathroom, and there's Glenn Close's dead body. And so she shuts the door and goes back, and she's like, there's a dead body or whatever. And so the flight attendants go to look, and there's no dead body, of course. And she's like, no, it's the woman who was sitting next to me. And they're like, this seat was empty. And I'm like, oh, the gaslighting starts again.
Or is she really having hallucinations, and that's why she pictured Glenn Close? Who knows? I think that's great that Glenn Close did it. Yep. I think it's great that they got her. I think it made for a fantastic ending.
It was a great cameo, yeah.
The ending of the show entirely is great.
Yep.
Like,
which, that's the last thing I want to comment on, is we're going to spoil the killer is actually Neil's daughter, Emma.
His little...
Love it! Oh my, she's like 8 years old. Yeah. Like, I love it.
She just turns, like, brutally sadistic.
She turns into, like, a Jedi Master or something. Like, I don't know. It's
great.
Crazy.
Like, the reveal is so hilariously
and the fight
funny.
Scene between her and Anna is amazing.
It's fantastic. It's like almost as good as watching Chucky fight
right.
with an adult. It's so hilarious.
And the way she crawled reminded me of Chucky, like the way she would crawl around all fast and stuff. It was so good.
It was so, and I think it's because they have kids play Chucky when he's doing that kind of stuff, you know. So he moves like a child. But yeah, it's so good. I was laughing hysterically. I know and they're playing it serious. She
slit her dad's throat.
Yeah,
like,
they play it dead serious. Like, this is really, you know, and it is. This is how it ends, and this is, you know.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, though.
I love it.
Fantastic.
It's my favorite ending to one of these ever.
Yeah.
Like, the little kid is the killer. That's amazing.
There is something always funny about seeing an adult beat up a child,
right,
and being taken seriously.
But this child kind of beat her up. Like,
right,
let's be honest.
It was a fair fight, like, and that's the thing. That's what made it so great. It wasn't child abuse. It was her defending herself against
this. Yeah, because turns out Emma also killed her own mother because her mom was pregnant and never asked her if she wanted a baby brother or whatever.
I mean, that's fair, I guess.
I mean, I never got asked if I want a little sister either, but geez, like, although I was only 3, so maybe if I was older, I don't know. But yeah, she kills her mom by drowning her because her mom doesn't know how to swim or is scared of water or whatever. So she, like, all summer. This is how sadistic this child is. All summer while her parents are with her at this thing, she's underwater, like, damaging this pier. So that at the very end of summer, she can trick her mother to go out on the end of the pier and then just stomp her foot and have it break so it looks like an accident and her mother drowns.
It's diabolical.
It's right.
It's diabolical shit right there, man.
So I do have some leftover questions that I hope gets answered in season 2 because I know they're getting a season 2. This show is super popular. I think you said it was still trending.
I think so. I think last time I looked at it, it was still in the top 10 on
deservedly
Netflix,
so.
Yeah.
All right, so my first question is, what was with all the casseroles, and how many casserole dishes does Anna own? Because she just gives them away, breaks them. Like, I think she broke 3 of them in the very first episode. Mm-hmm. Like, how many of the exact same casserole dish do you have, woman? Is it like an OCD thing? Like, I need to know. For my own peace of mind, my own OCD, I need to know. Like, I need the father to answer to why he left his daughter alone with a cannibal killer, because that was not well answered at all. Laziness. I need to know.
He was interviewing the serial killer in the interrogation room, right, and the daughter was there, and then he leaves for something, and just leaves her there.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why he was incompetence, I guess.
The FBI doesn't have a fucking, like, children's room that they can get, like, daycare.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the FBI would have a daycare for their employees' children, and he couldn't just drop her off for, like, 5 minutes while he goes interview a serial cannibal killer, like. Mm-mm.
Or just maybe don't do a take your daughter to work day unless the day you don't have a serial killer in the building. Like, how about that? Like,
or, like, I don't know, like, your whole day isn't going to be spent interviewing this guy, so just put her somewhere for an hour.
Right.
Like,
here, Chief, watch this
she
kid. She
shouldn't have even been there while he was interrogating her, let alone be left alone.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but great, but also I need answers.
And you know what, to answer your casserole dish thing, I think that maybe she had so many of the same one, because this woman obviously gives away casseroles to everybody, so maybe she just got tired of not getting her dishes back, and just bought a bunch of them to hand out.
Or maybe they're all the casserole dishes that people dropped off when her daughter died, like. And so she's just giving them all back away. Like, just something that simple. Just give me something that simple, because my mind works weird and I'm going to obsess over why she has casserole dishes. But the biggest and most serious question that we have is, why did the words on her daughter's gravestone keep changing? 3 different times I caught 3 different messages. Mm-hmm. On there.
And they don't ever point it out.
They don't point it out.
I think it's just a background gag. I really do. But they're not funny things on there. They are every time they take it seriously.
Right.
Although, what was the one? It said something like there's no I in death or something.
I don't know.
There was one that was a little weird.
Yeah. But I don't know,
but most of them are serious. I think it's just a gag.
They spent the rest of the show proving to us that she was not having visions, that she was not having daydreams, that she was seeing what she was seeing. So why would this be the one thing that constantly changes without explanation? Like,
my take on it, and I could be wrong, I'm not the director or writer or whatever, but my take on it is that it's just the directors and set producers and all just thinking that it's funny, and then that's an inside gag.
But see, that bothers people whose brains work like I do.
Well, I see what you're saying is that, because you're saying that maybe it's a way of telling the audience that she is not right in the head. And it's
if it's nothing, then tell us it's nothing. If it's something, like, I don't know, but it bothers me because I'm like, there's no reason given for it.
And I think the reason why it bothers you is my interpretation of it is because it's not as big of a parody as I thought it was going into it. Like, if it would have been a Naked Gun, if it would have been a Naked Gun parody, I would have been like, that gravestone changing is something they would do
as someone who's, I want to correct something. As someone who is a fan of the genre, this was a parody. It's not a parody in the way that Scary Movie and Airplane was, but it is very much a parody, and it is meant to be a comedy.
Yes, I do think so.
So it is a parody. It's just not the parody that you're used to with other things. How else to describe but the fact that he left his daughter alone with a cannibal killer makes it the parody. You know, it is a parody.
It is, parody is parody, satire, whatever. That is the right words for it. But I feel like that joke, if I'm right, that the gravestone is a joke, I think that it would have made more sense in a movie like Scary Movie, where there's all kinds of things to watch in the background. Yeah,
that's my problem with it, is that there's not all that other stuff.
Yes.
Because that made me start looking at the background, and for a minute there I was like, well, those paintings are different. Then no, it turns out there was just a different camera angle.
Yes, at one point we went back and we thought the whole room was changing in the show, but it wasn't.
And that's the problem is, I don't think normally a lot. And so when something doesn't make sense, it stands out to me. And that's my problem here. It's that I could let it go, like he said, if we saw little messages changed here and there, or if the paintings did change in our house. And we were seeing other things that were unreliable. But the fact that this is the only unreliable thing is bothering me.
And that's why it does. That's why it's bothering you. That's why it doesn't fit. Because it feels like it was probably a joke maybe they even came up with while they were producing it, and they just kept doing it. Or if we rewatch the series 3 or 4 times, we'll find other gags in there.
Maybe, but I don't like it as of right now. That's the only part of this I don't like, because they did not explain it. So maybe they'll explain it in season 2. I don't know.
Or we just got to watch for other things to change too.
Yeah. Well, now that we've done a review, because we don't like to watch other people's reviews or anything before we give ours, because we want everything to be our opinion on it. But now that we've done this, I'm gonna watch other people's reviews and see if other people found other Easter eggs that I did miss, because we only watched it one time through and really quickly, because we have no time to do anything.
Well, that's just the thing is, like, but I think we are generally observant people when we watch stuff, because we understand behind the scenes and everything, and we just love movies so much that I find myself looking at the background. She clearly does, because she caught the gravestone. I never even noticed it. So
again, I just read. When you give me something on screen to read, I'm going to read it. So
I think that, well, I did too, but I wouldn't remember the next time we saw it. So I think that, we probably did observe as much as we could in a single viewing.
Right.
And there probably isn't anything more that changes. It's probably this one gag, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see what kind of feedback they got from it.
That's the only thing that bothers me. That's the only thing.
Or whether they'll keep doing it or
Everything
not.
else is amazing. I love this show. Please go watch it.
Yeah. And it doesn't bother me. I think it's funny that they changed the gravestones, honestly. Yeah. But
I'm that person that, like, at the end of Castaway, I can't watch Castaway because I need to know what's in the goddamn envelope.
And I'm just like, okay, I
can't do it.
I like open-ending endings sometimes.
I can't do it. You have to tell me. You have to tell me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I do like it though. So
I'm that person. Yeah, that's why. But
I do like an ending where you have to kind of just decide for yourself what happens.
That's different. Like, I don't hate Lost in Translation because I can't hear what he says. Because I get that. Like that. It's not meant for us. It's meant for them.
For them, right.
But Castaway, you spent this whole movie with this fucker not opening this goddamn package, and then you're not going to tell... I hated it. I don't care.
It wasn't going to be anything important. It wasn't.
I don't care.
It just wasn't.
I don't care what the reasoning is. I needed to know. I don't care if he was delivering a dildo. I needed to know what was in that package.
I would have liked to have seen that. And just made the ending really awkward.
But I did find out...
Opens it.
That I guess in the script or whatever, that it's supposed to be like spices or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be just something
whatever.
On Amazon.
I don't care. Yeah. I just wanted to know. I hate that they didn't tell me.
Oh my god, I think it's great. But anyways, Castaway's not one of my favorite movies. Anyways, I just watched it. I watched it. I think I watched it once.
I think
I saw it once in the theaters, and
good.
I got so upset when Wilson died. I just couldn't go on.
See, I was fine when Wilson died. It was that package that did me in. I was like, finally, he's delivering it. We're going to find out what's in it. Nope.
No.
Fuck you, movie.
Yep, damn right.
All right, so I really want there to be a season 2. So please go watch The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
Yeah, we should. You know what? I want the show to be, and I think it is a success. But I want it to
sure.
do well because I think parody is a lost art form.
Right.
And I think that we need more of it. And I don't mean superhero movie, epic movie, and those are just terrible.
Movie.
Those are not parody movies. Those are lazy writing. Those are remember this cool thing, remember that cool thing. No,
with no story. Like Scary Movie had a story.
Right.
Airplane had a story. And even Not Another Teen Movie had a story.
I was just gonna say that's not one of the greatest, but it is
one
better.
of the greatest. Shut your dirty mouth.
It's better than where they went, with them. Like that Airplane, Hot Shots, Scary Movie. Those are the kind of movies that we need again, and we need to find somebody out there who can write them because, as much as I love them, I've never been able to do it. So, I love them so much, though.
It takes a special, not only I think, intellect.
Analytical mind,
because you have to not only understand it, but now you have to understand how to make fun of it.
Yep, and in a way that everybody can get and is universal. Because I'm telling you, I watched Airplane as a kid. I didn't understand half of the references in it, but
Still
I thought it was hilarious. Still. Now as an adult, I'm like, I get that. I get that. Anyway, so that's our review of The Woman in the... Wait, let me see if I get this right. The Woman Across the Street. No, The Woman in the Window Across the... No. The Woman... Yeah, isn't it? The Woman in the Window Across the Woman Across the Street.
Nope.
Damn it, what's it called?
The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
Damn it. Oh, well. It's a great title, though.
I love it so much.
So
the title itself, just like Airplane, just like Scary Movie, the title itself is
and the title tells you it's a parody.
Right.
Like, you can't see that title and think for a second that it's serious.
But it is serious too, which is I love it. God, I love this. I love this show.
It's really good.
I really want a season 2.
Okay, so please like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, so you get all the notifications of the content that we're put out on this channel.
Make sure you ring the bell.
Ring the bell, help with that. And I think I've said enough, so I'm going to shut up now.
All right, have a good night, good fight.
Bye.